Start us off recording, John. We will get the party started. Awesome. Thanks, John. All right. Welcome to today's City Council meeting. We are grateful to have you joining us as we continue to hold our open and public meetings electronically. Today is a work session and special limited formal meeting, which means there is no public comment scheduled. The next opportunity for public comment will take place on Tuesday, May 18th during our 7 p.m. formal meeting. This includes a public hearing on the proposed city budget for fiscal year 2022. However, is always welcome, and you can submit feedback by emailing us at council.comments@slcgov.com, calling our 24-hour phone comment line at 801-535-7654, or by mailing the City Council office at P.O. Box 145476, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84114. The focus of today's agenda is the interview of applicants who are interested in filling the vacant District 2 council seat. We received 17 applications and 2 people have withdrawn their name from consideration. So today, for the important seat of District 2, we will be holding interviews with 15 people. Once the interviews are done, we hope to be ready to take a vote to identify the next District 2 council member. However, as we go, we may also consider whether another round of interviews or dialogue would help the selection process. We will make that decision later once the interviews are done. So let's get started. I'm just opening my chat. Okay, that was to the applicants. Sorry. Agenda item number 1, interviews. Our staff sent information to each of the District 2 applicants. I want to review some of the information so that applicants are ready and can anticipate what's coming next, and so that anyone watching our video feed knows what has happened in the process. Applicants were asked to respond in writing to 3 questions that were sent in email. Responses have been posted online and shared with the council members. For today's interviews, applicants were asked to prepare a 5-minute verbal presentation on a topic of their choice. As a reminder, here are a few notes about how the interviews will proceed. There will be no electronic presentations such as PowerPoint. This is not a Q&A or dialogue with council members. We have selected a random order for the presentations. Amanda Lau from our staff will announce 2 names at a time and also list the names in the WebEx chat. Once your name is announced, Amanda will move you from the attendee role in our meeting into the panelist role. This will allow you to unmute your microphone and turn on your video for your presentation. Each applicant will be timed by council staff. Applicants will be notified of when your 5-minute time limit has been reached when council staff announces time. Amanda, I believe we are ready to get started. Would you please begin with the first 2 applicant names?
Awesome. So first we have Stephen R. Rick Silver Jr., or goes by Rick, followed by Esther Jackson Stowell. I'm going to go ahead and move you, Rick, from attendee to panelist. Just 1 second. There we go. All right, Rick, you should be able to unmute and turn on your video.
I can't hear Rick. Still can't hear you, Rick.
I cannot hear anybody. Can you?
I'm going to help. Oh, there he is.
Okay. All right, so everybody can hear and see me?
Yes.
All right. Well, this has been quite challenging, actually, trying to come up with a single topic. And I considered talking about several things. I only have 5 minutes, and I want to kind of overview several items, actually. I think that we are facing a real crisis when it comes to housing. And you can see that on the street with all of the various homeless camps that have popped up and been torn down and popped up and been torn down all over town. And these are complicated issues, and they go back to substance abuse and mental health and all kinds of things. And there's no way I can cover all of that there. But one big issue that we do face is the lack of low-cost housing and the lack of housing for middle-income people. And you know, I'm guilty of this myself. When I try to find a place that's cheap to rent, even if I can afford something better, and people are going to do that, and so that just continues to put more and more pressure on the working poor and people that are in poverty, and they really don't have very many places to go. And I think that if I was appointed, that one of the main things that I would be doing would be to try to figure out a way to create more housing opportunities for people that are low income and middle income, so that they can save some money and put together a little bit of a nest egg and have some money to fall back on in case they lose their job, or if they can put a little thing together so they can eventually get a down payment on a house, or maybe even start a small business or something. You can't do that when every single dollar that you're spending goes to paying rent. And the guideline here is typically that we should only spend about 30% of our income on housing. When you get up to about 40%, you're really, really in bad shape. And looking at the west side here, this is one of the last areas, at least in the last several years, where starter homes were available for people. But now I'm looking at prices online. I look today, and people are trying to charge $300,000, $350,000, $400,000 for very simple houses here in Poplar Grove and Glendale, and the average income doesn't support that. You shouldn't be paying more than 3 times your average income for a house if you're going to be able to cover your other bills. And we're looking at 5, 6 times average income. And it's getting really out of hand. When I graduated from college, I was offered employment in the Silicon Valley area, and I turned it down because at the time, and this was around 1999, at the time I went online and I looked at the real estate market there, and the only house that I could afford, that I could see, was $270,000 for a 700 square foot house that had visqueen taped on the roof. It had a tiny front yard and one little cactus sticking up out of the dirt. And I'm like, I didn't just go to school I didn't spend 6 years in the Navy and then go to school so that I could live in this shanty shack on the West Coast. So I turned it down, and it probably would have been a really good opportunity for me. And we're going to face that here too. If we can't provide decent housing for people, then people are not going to want to continue to move here. They're not going to want to fill vacancies at the inland port. They're not going to want to come here and do research at our universities. And they're not going to be able to live here if they work at McDonald's or do just regular day-to-day household support work, And so this is our biggest. This is one of our biggest problems. And then the second, this problem is so huge, is the problem that we have with policing and creating an environment where people feel comfortable talking to the police, interacting with the police. They feel like the police will treat them fairly. We have a lot of immigrants in our area and a lot of non.
Time.
Okay. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next we have Esther Jackson Stowell. I'll go ahead and move you now, followed by Kate Rubicava. Esther, you can go ahead and turn on your video and unmute your mic.
Hi there. Give me 1 sec. Good afternoon, council members, staff, and member of the public. Thank you for the invitation to speak to you today. My name is Esther Jackson Stowell. It's an honor to be in consideration for this position and to share a few thoughts with you. I am so grateful to be able to participate in our community at this level. I'm also pleased to see so many other applicants. I trust we will see all of you at our upcoming community council meetings. I know that if we continue to work together, we can do great things. A bit about me. I am a mom of 3 amazing children. That is my top priority. For work, I help people find places to live by operating a real estate brokerage and property management company, which I founded 11 years ago. I participate in my local church and in my neighborhood, currently serving as a treasurer for the Poplar Grove Community Council. Salt Lake City is an amazing place. My family and I moved here from the Bay Area of California more than 10 years ago. It has turned out to be one of the best life choices we've made. Living in District 2 of Salt Lake has given my children opportunities to learn, grow, interact with people from all walks of life, and appreciate the material and social blessings of living in one of the best cities in America. This city is home for me now. What is home? Home is comfort. It is safety. It's a place to learn and grow on your own terms. Home is family. That's what the West Side is for me. You're all very gracious and patiently listening to all of us applicants. So I will be respectful of your time and simply say that I want District 2 to be a place where even more families want to gather. I've outlined some detailed positions in my application package and questionnaire that I'd be happy to talk to you about anytime. For now, let's just say that Salt Lake City District 2 deserves the best leadership. That leadership starts with listening to people. Given the opportunity to serve the remainder of Andrew Johnson's term, I will listen and I will provide that leadership. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much, Esther.
Next we have Kate Rubicava, followed by Mike Fife. 1 second. All right, Kate, you can go ahead.
Thumbs up that you can hear me. Great. Good afternoon. My name is Kate Rubicava. I use the pronouns she, her, and as I begin, I want to honor the unceded lands of the Goshute, Shoshone, and Ute peoples and the continued existence, love, and care that Indigenous peoples have provided to the lands that we inhabit. Thank you for considering me to fill the vacant District 2 City Council seat. My parents moved into this community back in 1976 as a mixed-race couple because it was the only place in the Salt Lake Valley where it was acceptable for them to be together. Together, they raised my sister and I in Poplar Grove, and in 2014, I bought a home for myself in Glendale. The West Side remains a place of many cultures and religions and a space where others are always welcome. For me, elected office is not about holding office, but rather it's about leadership, community, and representation. When I was a young, unpolished leader, I scalded the mayor for the lack of investment on the West Side. That act of bravery to stand up and speak out publicly launched my career in community development, resident leadership, and nonprofits. When I was finished speaking to the mayor, I sat down next to the late Senator Pete Suazo, and he leaned into me and said, "We need leaders like you on the West Side." I started to learn that my actions were not just mine. They had purpose and value for and with others. I learned that everything that I did had the ability to be a positive force for my community. Through each and every milestone that I have achieved in life, I have carried with me the words of the leaders who came before me. Leave, experience the world, they told me, but come back because we need you. What those leaders knew then is what I know now. Our capital city is the spotlight for millions that live in our state and beyond. We have place and value in what we do, how we represent others, and in the decisions that we make. Our challenges, they are deeper and more prevalent now than they have ever been. Housing prices are outpacing wages. Far too many people are unsheltered and find refuge on our streets. Suicide, drug addiction, and untreated traumas plague nearly every person that we know, including in our own families. As a capital city, we are working to keep pace with development, negotiate with the state and other neighboring communities on various land use developments, and we're also working diligently to keep each and every one of us safe and healthy during a global pandemic. Our city, while dealing with some very heavy elements, has many bright spots. Bus service has increased on some routes to every 15 minutes. The most West Side friendly budget in years has been presented by the mayor, and the digital divide is getting narrower with high-speed internet choices being offered. And it takes a special kind of leader, I believe, to step up into such a complex role. I assure you, I am that candidate. Speaking directly from some of the letters of recommendation you have received on my behalf, according to others, Kate is the kind of person you hope you'll run into because her warmth and energy make you feel proud. She brings the ability to develop consensus without diluting the quality of a decision. Kate has a proven track record of community engagement and leadership and is well respected by her friends and neighbors for her work in public policy, community organizing, and nonprofit leadership. She truly believes and understands in the unique needs of the community and has an exceptional ability to deeply listen to others. While I don't want to belabor any longer and provide you content you already have access to, I do feel like it's emblematic of who I am. Should I be appointed, I will work hard, not just for our capital city and District 2, but I will work hard to make sure that future leaders are developed. Many of the people who have written letters to you on my behalf have worked with me, watched me grow, mentored me, supported me, and encouraged me. As leaders in all areas and capacities, the decisions that we make have impact immediately, in the future, and for periods of time. Because of that, I truly believe that it is important for each of us to remember the people who will lead after us, to build them up and to help them succeed. This creates strong leaders and thriving communities, the kind of people and places that will make our city, state, and country proud. I believe that this is what was being passed down to me as I grew as a leader. My desire to fill this vacant seat, to become appointed and then run for office almost immediately, it's not for me. It's for our future. And I thank you, and I humbly ask for your vote to fill this vacancy.
Thank you, Kate.
Next, we have Mike Fife, followed by Melanie Baumgartner. Mike, you can go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, and thanks for this opportunity. My name is Mike Fife. I was born in Utah, grew up in Oklahoma, and moved back to Utah in 2001, just before the Olympics. I have an accounting degree, and I also earned an MBA at night while working full-time. My career started in accounting and financial analysis, and eventually moved into strategy and planning, which included the corporate side of business development, site selection. I went to cities all over the US and Canada and in other countries, working with elected leaders and development officials to grow our local presence in these markets. After many years in the corporate arena, my team was eliminated, and after that I worked at Maverick, where I met very many interesting people and learned about the retail industry. And now I work at for the Salt Lake County Clerk in elections. I live in the Euclid neighborhood of Poplar Grove, and my little house here was built in 1910. And one of the benefits of living here is that it's a short walk to the Jordan River. The part of the Jordan River Trail I frequent the most hosts the remains of Mark Steel, Rocky Mountain Power, Dominion Energy, and the giant parking lot known as the White Ball Field. And while not the most scenic stretch, the potential is outstanding with all the coming development. I expect to see a resurgence of natural beauty along this stretch of the river as development embraces the river as the asset that it is. Part of this process should be saving the Fisher Mansion. History has happened on this Salt Lake City's west side, and as a city, we need to appreciate and celebrate the bits of it that remain. The west side is at the beginning of a transformational moment that could rival the development of the Draper Prison side as large areas are developed along the airport tracks line. Development has already started west of Redwood Road with hundreds of new apartments already having been built. Unfortunately, these developments are inward focused and have no street engagement. The area is basically a bedroom community with the major amenities being the Wendy's and the Apollo Burger. This can't be the fate of the east end of North Temple. If these new developments bring nothing to the community but more people and traffic, we'll have missed a huge opportunity. As a former planning commissioner, I would love to work with the planning department to come up with ways to ensure additional neighborhood scale businesses and with the administration to create new and enhanced amenities that we need to make North Temple a destination and the Jordan River an even better amenity. I'm looking forward to the river becoming even more central to the life on the west side. Everyone from Rose Park to Glendale should be able to ride their bike along the trail to a regional park where the water park and golf course are today, a park tailored to the residents' interests and desired activities. And even before it's open and operational, I'm excited about the multiplier effect of the Fair Park International Market, which the council supported. Successful businesses, or several successful businesses, started at the downtown farmers market, as you all know, and the same can happen with the international market. As I mentioned in the questionnaire response, housing is the biggest issue I see facing the city, the lack of housing, the lack of affordable housing, and the disappearing low-cost housing. I'm encouraged by Andrew's appointment as a city lead in this area and look forward to a revitalized homeless resource center vision. Land trusts, motel conversion projects, incentivizing units and new developments, incentivizing completely low-cost developments that aren't clustered together. These are all areas that need funding, and I would like the city to put particular emphasis on assisting people who have housing now, but are being displaced by development. It's great that new people are coming into the city, but it also creates suffering for people who are displaced, and they should at least be assured of another place to live in the city at a price that they can afford. Rail lines are a key irritant and create major barriers between the west side and the rest of the city, as well as between the north and south ends of the west side. We need to explore areas like leveraging the inland port to move freight traffic into industrial areas of the valley and away from our neighborhoods. Another idea I've seen has been turning the Rio Grande Depot into something like Denver's Union Station and placing the north-south tracks underground through downtown, freeing up dozens of acres of land for development, some of which could be in a land trust for housing. This would remove a key barrier between the west side and the rest of Salt Lake City. I love living on the west side. Coming over the 400 South Viaduct on the way home from work, I can feel the stress leaving my body. Everyone of every age and at every income level should be able to feel the same sense of safety and peace in our neighborhoods. Improvements can be made, reasonable development in the right places can be accommodated, and connections between neighbors can be increased. I would appreciate your vote to be the next city councilman for District 2. Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
Next, we have Melanie Baumgartner, followed by Alejandro Pui. Melanie, go ahead.
Good afternoon, council members and my fellow applicants. My name is Melanie Baumgartner, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to represent District 2. I live here and I'm invested in the success of my neighbors, the area businesses, and the population as a whole. The challenges we face are significant and include zoning issues, affordable housing, food scarcity, and police relations, just to name a few. The past few years have shown us that bickering will not solve our issues, but rather further entrench us. The way forward is together. I believe the way forward in each of these areas comes down to building relationships to create meaningful engagement with all members of our diverse and unique community. This is what motivates me to seek this position. I am here today to share with you my thoughts and strengths in this area, which I will use to serve District 2 and the council. Margaret J. Wheatley said, "There is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about." This statement reminds us that it's not just about what I care about, nor what you care about separately and cut off from each other, but rather how we feel about the issues that affect us all and what we can do together to alleviate them. This is why I want to focus on community outreach and explore new ways to increase awareness and participation, because I think there is a room for improvement on both fronts. Our community can only discover what it cares about and come together for powerful change if the people know what is going on. The foundation of community engagement and cohesion is relationship building. The ability to establish, build, and maintain respectful, productive, professional, and personal connections is more important than ever. And I have a proven track record of success in this arena. I have spent over 20 years as an entrepreneur and small business consultant, primarily in the service industry. Additionally, I have spent years as a volunteer with organizations serving some of our most marginalized community members. As a result, I am comfortable communicating with people of all levels of industry and from a myriad of backgrounds. In business and in community service, it's crucial to work with others to identify what the true need is and how it can best be delivered. Dealing with multiple inputs, different motivations, and cultural barriers has allowed me to develop a keen ability to negotiate difficult situations. When I started my business, I had to navigate every aspect on my own, from licensing to bookkeeping and marketing. After becoming established, I realized how many other small business owners were struggling with it all like I was, and I decided to help. My consulting business provides owners a deeper look at their companies, demystifies their goals, and creates actionable plans to achieve those goals. In the past 2 decades, I've built a network of resources and have worked together for mutually beneficial gains. Communities rely on networks, and I look forward to reinforcing the ones in District 2 as well as growing new ones. The first network any of us know is our family, and these can be the most complicated of all, and mine is no different. We encompass a varied religious and political spectrum, and we had to come to an agreement on how we would disagree. I grew up learning to navigate some of the most difficult topics with some of the most important people, how to maintain respect and still work issues out, and I'm a better person for it. From small scale to overarching issues, I am well versed in communication and collaboration. In fact, my family had concerns when I decided to purchase my first home on my own in 2008. Once again, I successfully navigated a system that I really had no idea about beforehand. Salt Lake is a wonderfully family-friendly city, but that focus can present challenges to single people and particularly single women. I would like to ensure that District 2 is a place that truly welcomes all, regardless of background, national origin, identity, or marital status. As a single woman and a cancer survivor, I also have experience navigating the healthcare system, which for the self-employed can be particularly tricky. I say this to demonstrate that I not only understand issues and the challenges facing our residents, but I empathize with the frustration, the fear, and significantly with the need for solutions. I'm committed to serving District 2 and contributing to the council as it strives to serve us all. If appointed, I intend to run for re-election in November. I believe in what Coretta Scott King said, the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate action of its members. As the District 2 representative, I will team, communicate, collaborate, and act with compassion to achieve the best possible future for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Alejandro Pui, followed by Benjamin Wood. Alejandro, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon, council members and council staff. I couldn't forget to acknowledge your council staff because I was one of them not too long ago, so thank you for all your work too. It is an honor to be in front of you today, even if it's through a screen. I wanted to start by saying that I love Salt Lake City. I love District 2. And this love is the driving force that made me consider running to fill the shoes of Andrew Johnston. I'm putting my name forward, not because I feel that I'm better than anybody else or that I have all the answers, but because I have a unique perspective. I have the energy to get things done, and I have the open mind to represent my district and to ask the right questions. I'm here today because of the many that helped me to get here before. Don't get me wrong, I worked very hard to be where I am today, but I'm also acknowledge the people that helped me get here. I am very lucky to be at the right place at the right time and to have wonderful people around me. I came to this country alone, and I'm here today surrounded by many friends. This city became my home and my family. Salt Lake City embraced me, a brown, heavy on accent, queer, and very mischievous immigrant that wanted to just simply build a life and do good at the same time. I know my journey is very, very District 2, where the majority are Latin American, immigrant, and immigrant descent, a district where many started with little bit, and some of them still have little to their name. A district that understands my language, my accent, and doesn't get worried by my skin color. A district where many work several jobs to make ends meet. A district where most, like you and me, just want to build a better life. This city and you, including with all the other hats you wear, have the power to influence positive change and craft policy that could allow a single mother like mine to be able to find an affordable rent near her place of work. Someone to find a reliable transit option to go to that dream job. You approve zoning changes that might allow a business idea to become a reality. You help that person that is living in the streets right now to find a place to live at night. Finding solutions to these problems is the motivating force that encourages me to run. My focus as a council member, if you choose me, will be tackling homelessness on its root causes, housing affordability, concentrated poverty, and the appearance of safety, air quality, reliable transportation, the inland port, and the low rate of COVID vaccination in District 2. Because of time, I'm only going to mention 3 of those, but I have elaborated more in my application and questions. Homelessness isn't an issue that is unique to District 2. But we have seen it escalate because of the pandemic. Let me tell you something that I have not told many. One day last year, while walking with my beautiful dog Petunia, I noticed that something was wrong around one of the tents near my house. It turned out to be a person that was overdosing. It was not even a month before that when a co-worker of mine suggested that we have naloxone in our office, just in case. Fortunately, I also kept one in my bag. I ran home, it wasn't very pretty to see, and I came back with the shot and I gave it to the person that was caring for the person that was ODing. Drug addiction, mental health are some of the root causes that we must tackle to solve this issue. Housing affordability is also a key issue for all of us. And I know the city, the RDA are working very hard to increase the stock of available and affordable houses for rent and purchase. And I'm looking forward to the revenues and the new programs to make this happen. And ultimately, I want to mention the COVID vaccination is going to hunt us for years, and maybe even years. Many families in District 2 are going to suffer the consequences. Many lives will be lost, even financially consequences. The lowest zip codes on the vaccination rates are in District 2. We need to make this a priority. We need to get people vaccinated. We can do this. We need to do this. I bring to the table a fresh, positive, and creative mindset to get things done. But more importantly, I bring to the table the experiences of being raised by a single mother that never gave up. The experience of becoming a new American, the experience of having to work 2 or 3 jobs to make it, the experiences that policy is one of the greatest tools to make positive change. I wouldn't be here without these experiences that help and the people that help me directly and indirectly. These experiences are my driving force that will inform my policy decisions. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ale. And I didn't say thank you to Melanie before because I got distracted taking notes. So Melanie, if you're listening, thank you. Thanks, Ale.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Benjamin Wood, followed by Taylor Thurman.
I struggled in one part.
Yeah, you lost your place.
Yeah,
Mike.
but I fixed it.
Yeah.
Ale, you're not muted.
Oh, sorry, Alejandro, okay, there you go.
Yeah. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you to the council for being here and also to the fellow applicants. It's fun to have some time to talk about District 2, the coolest district in the city. And my sympathies to anyone who doesn't live there. You're missing out a lot. I know a lot of you. To those of you who don't know me, I'm Benjamin Wood. I was raised in Weber County, studied Utah State, had a brief little tenure in New York City before I came back. I've worked for the Deseret News, KSL, most recently the Salt Lake Tribune. At the start of the pandemic, I left my job. I became the primary caregiver for my son, who is just about to leave elementary school, heading to middle school. It was a big year to be at home, and that's been really eye-opening. You know, up until this point, I'd been living in the city for about 10 years, but always as the working journalist in that mold, and I've really had time now to think about being a homeowner, think about being a parent, think about being a resident of the city. But also just looking back over my career, I mean, essentially what I do for a living is research a little bit about a lot of things. I've spent time looking into homelessness, Medicare, Medicaid, street design, stormwater design, housing density, utilities, infrastructure, police, and courts. I mean, essentially, if you name a topic, I've spent time engaging with stakeholders, looking for expertise, whether that's studied expertise or just the lived experience of being a person who lives in the city. I've been on the scene at fires and crime scenes. I've also visited almost every school in the city. I was an education reporter for a long time, so I've worked a lot with the school board, the administrators, the teachers, the parents groups. And and essentially what all that has taught me is that I'm not a particular expert, but I really believe and value seeking out expertise and relying on the expertise of others. And just from hearing the comments today, you can see the range of perspectives and expertise that we have in just the people in this community, and it's great to see. You know, I don't want to take up too much time. Yeah, sometimes as a journalist, there's an assumption that I might be an antagonistic person. I just want to reassure anyone I don't see myself that way. I see myself as a cheerleader for creativity. For the last few months, I've been working with a group called Sweet Streets, just looking at the design of our roads and the lived experience. I spend my days biking around town, looking and seeing and talking and hearing. And that's essentially what I would be looking to do and having a place to focus my energies. And I guess just as a last thought, you know, I didn't want to talk about any particular topic because I could talk about any topic for a lot. But as I look around the city and as we look at these issues that are always coming back, you know, I found that a lot of times your typical folks, the people who are just living day to day, they're not asking for big, huge changes, as good as those are. A lot of times there's little things that can be done that can make a big difference. Those are the areas that I'd like to explore. I see that happening already with the development of the river, the development of the 9 line, looking at new uses for the Fair Park and the Fisher Mansion, getting people engaged and able to empower themselves and their families. So yeah, I welcome you to look at my application materials, and it's been a pleasure. And so I look forward to hearing who gets picked. And if not me, I would look to help and support as best I can. So thank you all.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, next we have Taylor Thurman, followed by Billy Palmer. Taylor, you can go ahead.
Hi there. Can you all hear me? Okay, great. Hey, greetings to everybody here on the council, community members, and other candidates. I really appreciate the time to be able to talk to you a little bit today and just have 5 minutes of your time. I remember hearing about this vacancy through my role as secretary of the Glendale Community Council. And for me, when I heard about it, many assumptions came up to me as to who would take over. And I realized that most of these assumptions were based on who has historically been represented in politics. Someone older than me, someone more male than me, and someone certainly with more status and more money than me. When asked if I was interested in filing, I picked apart pieces of my identity to understand why I had not originally considered myself for this role. Primarily, I realized that my age and my status in society as a woman, who are often underrepresented in politics, were limiting me, or it felt like they were limiting me at least. But then I flipped the script. I realized that those same fears that are related to the lack of representation of people who look like me in government, these and other aspects of my identity are what actually set me apart. Did you know that almost a quarter of Salt Lake City are people in my age group, ages 20 to 29? I am excited to be a newcomer and have many eyes on me waiting to see how I will act. This is something that I have experience navigating. I grew up in Salt Lake, and my first real professional job was at the age of 22, where I was assigned to work as a homeless outreach worker in the Rio Grande and Pioneer Park district. I remember walking through those streets day in and day out, and my eyes were wide open. I could not believe a lot of what was going on around me, and I definitely did not fit in. But people did learn to trust me and to help them improve their situation. I took those experiences with me as I went into a 2-year service in the town of Los Chiles, Costa Rica, for a Peace Corps. Upon first arriving, I was tasked with conducting a community assessment based on the assets that were available and the strengths that could be built upon in order to drive positive community change. I was tasked with connecting with existing community leaders who are already at the front lines working to advance their goals. My experience with people seeking services and collaborating with community leaders will make me an asset to this role, and my ability to speak fluently in Spanish furthers my confidence to serve this unique district. All of these experiences have brought both confidence and comfort with being the youngest voice in a decision-making room, where I've also learned to coach up and bring a younger perspective to the older leaders in the room. That, along with my social work education, has taught me the importance of policy, good policy, strong ethics, and to value the wishes and lived experiences of the people I aim to serve. On Rio Grande Street, in the homeless outreach team, we were tasked to identify why were there so many people out on these streets, and were they accessing services? Were they out there for nefarious reasons? We really weren't sure. However, we quickly learned that even those who were sleeping right along the walls of the shelter, right outside of the doors to go in, many had not spent even a single night inside for years, if ever. Many of them did not know how to ask for help. So there were and continue to be many challenges of advocating for housing. And there I learned that those who show up the most and who speak the loudest and appear at the doors of the service providers every day are those who tend to get the most response and the most resources, but might not be the most in need. Like many in my generation, having impact is so central to my values. This office is where I really think I could do the most good, and I will work hard to do so. My values include ethics, which are tied to my background in social work and respecting the dignity and worth of every person. I also value accountability and providing transparency and making myself available to these constituents. And objectivity, which means serving as many people as possible without preference to any one group, especially those who have been silent in the past. I am grateful for engaging in this process because it has shown me that being a young woman is a great strength. We may typically quiet our voices and avoid taking up space, but that does not mean we do not have significant need to be represented. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor.
Next, we have Billy Palmer, followed by Scott Christensen. Billy, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon, and thank you for your time, council members. It may seem that I am like a likely candidate for District 2, but as I see it, I am not. And the reason I say that is because it's not likely that a person with my story has as much access as I do at this moment. I grew up a kid on the West Side in a mixed race, Black, single parent family of 6, living in deep poverty where we found ourselves being evicted, often because of a lack of affordability. The West Side of Salt Lake was really our only option, but would become my neighborhood of choice. Daily, I bike or drive down the street and pass parking lots and different spots where we lived in our car as we waited for the next apartment that would be available to us. And it's also in my neighborhood that I found treasures and opportunities and a sense of purpose. I became involved in improving the West Side when I was 16 years of age as a community builder. That was our job title at YouthWorks, a prevention program for at-risk kids. It was a way for me to help pay bills at my house. But something else came from that experience. My first project was to work with other youth to build a home for a low-income family. I was happy to know that perhaps some little kid would not have to move any longer, could stay in one place. It was the beginning of something that I wasn't aware of at the time. It was a spark created inside of me. I would remain a community builder for the rest of my life. I found success being scrappy and working my way into a dance career and a film career, using whatever I could to offer to gain access to a world I dreamed of. As soon as I found my success, I returned to YouthWorks to volunteer because I felt it was important for young people whose stories were often like mine to know that no matter what things look like now, there are always opportunities and doors ready to be opened. I always believe that. I always believe that about our neighborhoods along the West Side, and I believe that about our cities and ourselves. We find ourselves facing great challenges, tensions between community members and our structures of authority, distrust, misunderstandings, and miscommunication, a shortage of access to housing, a growth in population like we've never seen, an inland port at our doorstep, and the need for rapid development, among many other challenges. In all of this, I see doors ready to open. I see opportunity. I see an opportunity to build a more inclusive city where people have more voice and more choice. I see an opportunity for discussions long overdue that will build trust and strengthen our resolve and bind our humanity together. I see opportunity to meet people in neighborhoods where they are and find solutions for housing and economic development, walkable neighborhoods and home ownership. I see an opportunity to do something I dream of and have worked towards for a very long time now, to bring healing and inclusion in the West and East divide, and reverse the effects of policies that were put in place long before any of us were born. I believe the bridges we build and seeds we plant today will ripple through generations and create a more perfect city. In this meeting, there is a choice to add the most diverse council in identities and life experiences than we've ever had. And I believe the most forward-thinking and progressive. I don't have to tell you that representation matters, you already know. I believe that what this council needs are perspectives that are unlikely. Someone who can come from a point of view unlike your own. Someone whose story is common among West Siders. I feel I am the choice because I have spent much of my life giving voice and doing the work that I just mentioned for over 20 years now. The fact that we have more involvement and more access on the West Side doesn't come by accident. It came from the work of folks like Archie Archuleta, Edie Trimmer, Alama Uluave, and so many others who I found as mentors and followed their example. I count myself among those that has worked tirelessly for decades to open doors for others. I want to continue that work. It's in my DNA. The West Side is in my blood, and I love Glendale and I love my city. The council needs someone who is a trusted voice among grassroots, nonprofit, private, and public communities on all levels of government. Someone who has built trust with many and built bridges, a seed planter, a grower, a community builder. I'm a community builder because my community built me. It shaped me. I want to give back what I've received from my communities and city. Boy, I didn't mention this happening. I have spent a long time making sure others have a voice. I want to have a voice on the community council, and I want to bring my neighborhood with me. That's who I am. I'm humbled to be here, and have this opportunity, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you. Next, we have Scott Christensen, followed by Nigel Swaby. Scott, you can go ahead.
Thank you for this opportunity to meet with everyone. I'll introduce myself. I am Scott Christensen. I've lived in this neighborhood for 27 years. I love Utah and I love this city. And I've raised 2 kids here. One's in college and one's becoming an electrician. So it's been a great community for my kids to grow up in and to learn and to be a part of. And I'm very thankful for that. Today, I want to talk about the privilege of living in a constitutional republic. A constitutional republic is a state where the chief executive and representatives are democratically elected by the people, and the rules are set down in a written constitution. The Constitution limits the power of each office holder. Constitutional republics usually have a separation of powers. Elected representatives, nominated and elected by the people. From where do we find these people? There isn't some odd place where we pick people from to serve in these elected offices. We nominate and elect our neighbors and common people from within our own communities. They aren't kings, they aren't monarchs. They are common folk from within our own cities. With few preconditions, these are people from down the street. They are willing to serve their community, their state, and sometimes their country in representative positions. Being a part of being a citizen within our republic means everyday people can have the opportunity to serve their communities in council positions, appointed offices, and as elected officials. Being a citizen within our republic can be as simple as learning about the issues of the day and who is running for office, and then getting out and voting. We can attend our caucus meetings and choose from among our neighbors someone to serve as a delegate or a caucus president. We serve on juries to ensure justice and mercy are meted out as correctly as possible. Not only do we choose from among our neighbors, but we can put our names in for offices and elected positions. We serve because we have ideas and we feel we can contribute to our communities. We serve because we want to preserve our liberties and freedoms. Some of us bring years of experience from the School of Hard Knocks to the table, and some bring college degrees from universities. We all bring a desire to serve our fellow citizens and contribute a part of ourselves to whatever office or position we serve in. No one person has all the answers or the ability to solve all our problems. We serve to contribute what we can. For my part, I have served my community as a county delegate for 8 years. I served as a state delegate for an additional 8 years. And for the past 4 years, I've been a caucus president. I have enjoyed being so focused on elections and meeting people who choose to put themselves up for election. Some are voted in and some are not. But the system is richer because common people are willing to serve in whatever capacity they can. It is an honor and a privilege to be considered for this position, and I thank you. Putting oneself in for election or consideration has been part of the founding of our republic. We need to ensure that many people take time to serve in offices and elected positions within our community and our state. Even if all we do is get out and vote, it is the easiest way for all to serve. Thank you again for this opportunity to put my name forward for this position. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Next, we have Nigel Swaby, followed by Dennis Ferris.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Nigel Swaby, and I would like you to appoint me to the council member for Salt Lake City District 2. I don't envy the position you're in today, having to make this choice out of 15 qualified and enthusiastic applicants. As I read through the questionnaire answers from the other candidates, I noticed many of them agreed with me that affordable housing is a pressing concern. My professional background is well suited to provide solutions for this problem. I have 14 years experience in mortgage lending and real estate sales. I've been a licensed realtor for 6 years, and my practice includes residential, commercial, and land development. I don't just sell houses, I build community. I have my finger on the pulse of the real estate market that can bring insight to this council. I believe actions represent values, so let me tell you briefly about mine. I organized and delivered Fair Park Community Council's response to Rocky Mountain Power's rooftop solar net metering proposal a few years ago. I have advocated for the inland port to be developed as cleanly and efficiently as possible. I urged an ADU ordinance to be equitable citywide. I've done the point in time count and toured the Other Side Academy to gain understanding about our homeless and addiction issues. I worked with the county to ensure all the West Side census tracts were included as federal opportunity zones. I pitched the idea of turning the abandoned Arctic Circle on North Temple into a temporary police station, and I helped stage the West Side Music, Arts, and Food Festival for 3 years. Pre-COVID, I spent most Tuesday afternoons in council work sessions listening to how you deliberate over the issues and talking to council and department staff. I've given public comment on issues affecting the West Side many times. I won't publicly complain about a policy unless I've got a suggestion of my own. I understand the value of personal relationships and think strategically about how to maintain them. In 2018, Senator Buxton of the Inland Port Board was soundly criticized for saying, "I think that the public that's coming to these meetings are beating the hell out of us every time we turn around." At the next Inland Port meeting, many people spoke out against him, and I was one of them. I said I was concerned about his comments. It was a mild rebuke, leaving the door open for future engagement. I believe politics is more than just policy. Elected officials are like customer service reps for democracy. How constituents perceive their electeds is how they perceive their republic. Growing up in the west side of Salt Lake was a deeply enriching experience for me. I'm a product of West Side public schools. Our families of immigrants and Polynesians and Southeast Asians and Hispanics and African Americans blended in with the community. We became friends through school and sports and church. We watched our neighborhoods grow and develop, and we fought for equitable treatment in education, transportation, and representation. It's from this perspective that I will represent District 2. The most important thing I bring to the seat is the institutional knowledge of the Inland Port. I was first exposed to that concept when the RDA started putting together the project area in 2017. I closely followed SB 234 as it made its way through the legislature. I went to the open houses. I drafted the first community response after it was passed for the Salt Lake Community Network. I attended many Inland Port Board meetings and worked closely with the West Side Coalition on community responses. In 2018, I drove to California and toured the ports of Los Angeles and San Diego to see what an operational port looks like. I reported those findings to the West Side Coalition. In 2019, I led a panel discussion for the Salt Lake Board of Realtors with Jack Hedge and Ari Pruning. I bring this up because the District 2 council member is most likely to be placed on the Inland Port Board representing Salt Lake City's interests after James Rogers moves on from service. There's no other applicant in front of you that has this experience. To close, I'd like to thank you for your time, advice, and consideration for this position.
Thanks, Nigel.
Thank you. And I apologize for mispronouncing your last name, Nigel Swaby. Next, we have Dennis Ferris, followed by Eric Turner. Dennis, you can go ahead.
Hello, my name is Dennis Ferris, and I would be honored to represent the people and places of Salt Lake City Council District 2. My life journey here has been very unexpected. From being a young Hispanic child on public assistance to following in my father's footsteps by enlisting in the U.S. Air Force during the first Gulf War right after high school, to being here today. I've been ingrained with a deep appreciation for those willing to serve the public good. More than a decade ago, my neighbor invited me to attend a community meeting. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I didn't know how to tell no to such a reasonable request. Through the course of the meeting, I was impressed by how engaged people were. As we received updates from various governmental representatives, people were encouraged to be part of the decision-making process by asking questions and giving their feedback. My neighbors, who I initially thought were just regular people, turned out to be heroes in my mind. They came to this meeting on their own time, on their own dime. They were there just because they cared about their community and the people within it, and were willing to work hard to make it a better place for everyone. As it happens, my neighbor had a plan when he invited me. This was my first meeting of the Poplar Grove Community Council, and it was election night. I was nominated to become vice chair. I was so moved by the engagement that I was witnessing that I accepted that nomination and jumped in with both feet. I've never regretted that moment. Through the first year, our board determined the community needed to come together and have a good time together. We worked hard and rebooted the long-defunct Night Out Against Crime event. It was a huge success, and we decided to make it an annual affair. The next year, we undertook a rebranding of Poplar Grove, something to give us a bit of community identity to rally around. This included upgrading that now annual event to become Groove in the Grove, which draws over 1,000 community members out to learn about happenings in their neighborhood and to celebrate each other with live performances by our own talented children and adults. We are deep in the planning process to make 2021 the 10th year of this event. This work continued for me as I accepted the chairmanship of Salt Lake Community Network. The membership of this organization is specifically every community organization recognized by Salt Lake City. We have restructured this organization to turn its focus inward and act as an educational and support hub to empower and enable community organizations across the city to be able to capably and represent and achieve their goals for their own communities. This has culminated in a recent partnership with Salt Lake City to act as a primary conduit for some aspects of SLC's engagement with community organizations, allowing Salt Lake City to be accessible to all organizations equally and much more efficiently. Along the way, I have felt the need to have a more impactful professional life as well. I've now settled happily into the homeless services industry, although there are many such issues facing the city today. Racial and economic equity, affordable housing, public safety, transportation, etc. We have limited resources, but we must still be effective. My knowledge and experience in homelessness and other issues, community engagement, and planning will be invaluable to the council, especially when partnered with my experiences in collaborating to improve communities across the city. Salt Lake City is increasingly diverse and is growing rapidly. It must be accountable and responsive to all its citizens. My life and work have prepared me to work together with all communities across the city to equitably deal with the issues that we must face. We can succeed together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Next, we have Eric Turner, followed by Dave Truster. Eric, you can go ahead.
Can you hear me? Perfect. Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Council. And thank you to the public and media who are also watching. Thank you for your interest and your time as well. I grew up in Harriman, Utah, the fourth of 5 children. My father was a school teacher and my mother worked at a bakery. We didn't have much, but my parents taught me the value of hard work and to love both people and nature. After my mission, I left Utah. Opportunity took me all over the country and fitness modeling all over the world, but Utah has always been my home. I was known at Abercrombie as a fixer. I grew a store in Oregon to make it the highest volume store on the West Coast. So when Abercrombie identified a district in Arizona as troubled, they selected me to fix it. But where corporate saw trouble, I saw potential. Potential that would later materialize through 25% increased revenue in less than a year. All the stores needed was access to the tools to be successful and someone with a vision to chart a course to help them get there. In 2008, I was working as a district manager for a chain of children's photography studios. My stores were in Utah, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. I could have lived in any of those places, but I chose to make Poplar Grove my home. Like much of the West Side, I was a first-time home buyer. I was so excited for home ownership, but 3 days after I bought my home, my position was eliminated at work and the economy collapsed. I struggled to find work. I struggled to put food on the table to pay my mortgage. I even defaulted on a credit card. The bank nearly foreclosed on my home. So when I say that I understand what West Side residents are going through, it's not just words, I've lived it. I had to leave the state for opportunity. I spent nearly a decade in Houston helping to build the community there. Involvement that led the former mayor of Houston, Denise Parker, to even write a letter recommending me for this position. I leveraged my success as an underwear model to start my own men's lifestyle brand, a brand now recognized all over the globe. Its success allowed me in 2018 to move back to Utah. I'm excited for the opportunity to serve the city and my neighbors and act as their voice on the council. I understand what many of them are going through, and I want to do what I can as their representative to address many of the issues on the West Side. Just like the Abercrombie district in Arizona, I don't see a troubled West Side. I see potential and opportunity. As anyone who's studied the mayor's proposed budget understands, the city has limited resources. I disagree with other applicants who've suggested that city government is the answer to every problem. As council member, I will partner not only with residents, but with the business community, especially in the Northwest Quadrant. This will promote Goal 6 of the Quadrant Master Plan and get the business community to use their money to create higher paying jobs and help drive equitable growth and money into District 2. The post-COVID world has created a unique opportunity for the city. With $87 million in federal funding, we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to change the way we do things. I offer a new, fresh, and unique perspective to address the problems in our growing city. I'm already primed for this position. I understand how to work with the public and the media, and I have a unique perspective that the other applicants don't. Everyone wants to be the MVP who fixes the West Side's issues, but as members of the council already understand, criticism will come when people disagree with our choices. Having spent so much of my life in the public spotlight already, I've grown thick skin. So I'm also prepared to make difficult decisions that will benefit the city, even when public outcry demands the opposite. I write my own schedule, so I don't need to ask for time off or a schedule adjustment to be on the council. I can get to work immediately. I don't claim to have all the answers. Many of the other applicants have been involved in zoning, setting policy, community councils. I'm not an expert on water, sanitation, or urban planning, but I know how to ask probing questions to gather the information I need to make informed decisions. I don't think any of you on the council started as an expert on every city issue, but you're a team that brings together your different strengths and experiences to make the city a better, more equitable place. So as a part of that team, I will work with you, Councilman Rogers, to expand the revitalization you've spearheaded in Rose Park into more of the West Side. Councilman Dugan, I'll partner with you to make sure that it's done in a green and sustainable way. Councilman Mono, I'll need your expertise to ensure the architecture stays true to the city's character and beauty. Councilwoman Valdemoros, I'll work with you to ensure that growth on the West Side can benefit other small businesses like ours, small businesses that are the foundation of our local economy. And Councilman Wharton and Council Chair Fowler, I will work with you to make sure this is all done in a way to help as many people as possible, especially the disadvantaged. That's what the citizens of District 2 deserve, and with me, that's what they'll get. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
And next we have Dave Troster, followed by Darren Mann. Dave, you can go ahead.
Hello and good afternoon, I guess. I'm Dave Troster, and I had some scripted talking points that I was going to hit, but I guess I would just ask you to make sure that you've read the questionnaire that I filled out. Hopefully you have, because it's all there. And I want to sit on the city council to help guide policy and funding to help all the residents and all the constituents in District 2. That's why I want to sit on the council. Some of the points I was going to talk about were neighborhood security, infrastructure investment, equitable use and development of parks and open space, and of course, addressing homelessness. You brought up a good point in the questionnaire, the inland port, which will consume such a huge part of this district. And it's a little moot at this point. We're waiting, and I think the city has a really good chance that it's going to turn out in its favor. And I was going to comment on each one of those, but I think I feel like I should say something else and give you some impromptu remarks and tell you why I live here in District 2, in Glendale in particular, and in Utah. I'm from New York originally. Excuse me. And I've been to the Statue of Liberty, where there's that beautiful poem by Lazarus on the Colossus, the new Colossus. Give me your poor, your tired, your wretched refuge, breathing. I'm not very good at memorizing, but yearning to breathe free, and to send these. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. I like living in Glendale and in District 2 because it's the most diverse place. The west side of Salt Lake City is the most diverse place in Utah. I'm not the most articulate person, so bear with me. And of course, there's a little bit of nervousness that goes on here. But I live here on the West Side because I like the diversity, because it reminds me of home in New York State, and because it is the most diverse place. And in that, it's a microcosm of America. And so what I really want to talk about, I feel I should talk about, is the potential that the West Side has, District 2, and also opportunity. And it's vast. I can't really give you specifics except that you can see it and you know it. Anything that is below development has more potential than things that are developed. And the people here are the real strength. And they need good representation. I don't know if I'm the best person, but I'm one of the best because I'm here now. And or maybe the really good people didn't apply. They're the smart ones, really. Once you get into politics, you know that. But I think I'd be a good representative because I'm objective and fair-minded, and I believe in transparency and representing the people. It's not about me. It's about helping people become fill their potential, to reach their potential. And that's what American government is about. I think one of the things that is unique about America, and Utah in particular, they seem to embrace that here, is the American dream. I've traveled in Latin America and South America and Europe, and they don't have the American dream from my perspective like we do. And government is instituted to help people become better and more. And in America, we can do that. Anyone can be whatever they want. And I think government at all different levels, especially the local level, is here to help put the things in place. Things I already mentioned: good infrastructure, security in the neighborhoods, addressing homelessness, fixing problems. There are lots of problems we could talk about, but what government is here to do, and I think what the council can do in sync with the mayor, is find solutions. I know this sounds really ideal, and I am an idealist, but I'm also practical and a pragmatist. I believe in practical solutions to real problems, real life problems, because we live in real life here. And I think government can do that. It can't solve all problems, but it can solve a lot of problems. And by apportioning resources that we have and under the council, not we, but whoever the council is and whoever the mayor is, has great autonomy to help people and put the structures in place to help them achieve and become what they want to be. And there's just so much opportunity here, and I want to help develop that. That's why I want to be on the city council and be a voice and help represent my neighbors, who I really love. It's really, really great to live with such a diverse community. And I don't really have any more to say, but thank you for the time and good luck on the decision.
Thank you, David.
Our last interview is Darren Mann. Darren, you can go ahead. Thank you so much.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on here. It's wonderful to be able to talk to you and apply for this position with so many great candidates that have shared so much of their opinions, of which I agree. I grew up here in Utah, and I love living here in this district. I have established an urban farm that feeds a 3-block radius of families in need. We give weekly food boxes to families in need to help build food independence and resilient communities. And that really comes from my background of being a community organizer, because not only do I try and help the community surrounding me, but I have vast experience at Capitol Hill as an environmental advocate, advocating to have a voice in water policy and helping save our wetlands, and working with broad groups, whether it's duck hunters and conservative farmers to liberal environmentalists, and finding those bridges and finding a solution so that we have an environment and that can thrive for not only our planet, but for our people as well. So I've taken coalitions of citizens up to the Capitol and built relationships that could help the city advocate with the state, because I know sometimes we have contentious relationships. But also, I really bleed for this community. I grow food for it and establish gardens all over the Fair Park Rose Park area, and we're branching out into Glendale as well now. And we're trying to establish nodes of food distribution because food scarcity is an issue in this district, and it's very important to me. And also, if we can start to grow our own food within the districts, within our city, we reduce our carbon footprint, which helps our air quality. But one thing that is really important to me is the housing crisis that has been mentioned, the unsheltered crisis that we are going. And nobody of the applicants here present has seen it to the degree that I have. I live 4 blocks away from North Temple, and when the crisis really exploded, there were tents everywhere, and I made the decision to have a homeless camp on my front yard. And I got to see up close and personal what people need and what we really need to do to solve this problem. And, it came with wonderful insights and also some tragedies. And you know who came in and stepped up? It was the city. You guys really tried. We're trying to find this solution together. But there's always contention. There's activists that are upset with the current proposal. And I think that through collaboration and with my experience building coalitions and creating dialogue, I have started to organize a community roundtable with the Other Side Academy and stakeholders in the activist community to start a dialogue so that we can start building constructive solutions towards our unsheltered crisis and really move this tiny home initiative forward. And not only can it be a beacon for how we address homelessness in Salt Lake City, but we can use it as a format through identifying what zoning issues we have to go towards and start to replicate that for people who live all over the city and want to live a more co-housing life synonymous with nature, which my generation is very interested in doing. And if we have more, areas that are housed where they're more affordable tiny homes and people have grow space where they can grow their own food, we're starting to have regenerative earth practices, which will be very beneficial for our environment as well as beneficial for our economics, because we'll have more people that are able to invest in our city and help it develop in a way that is harmonious with nature and allows our people to thrive. I want our people to thrive. I want our people to be strong. And I do everything that I can, whether it's extending my home to those in need, feeding people in need. I always try to put myself out there to help, and I'm always there to listen and collaborate with people. Now, there's always different theories of change and tactics, and that's why we need people who have experience building coalitions, and I'm already working on doing that. I've been doing that for a greater part, about 12 years now. I just live and breathe it. There's nothing that I do besides it. It's an obsession for me. I love to be involved with the community. And with, the housing crisis being an issue, we also need to really look at how we're investing our support nationwide, particularly by like Jordan River corridor, to use really earthworks that can help change our budget and introduce more water for our valley and help us
Time.
drought. And thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Darren. Council members, that was our last interview. And I just want to say, I'm sure the applicants can hear us. It's hard not to see people at this point, but I want to say that I quit the council because I don't want to make this very difficult decision. Goodbye. Just kidding. Although every single applicant, I will speak for myself, but I think that my co-council members would be in agreement, but I wish that we could appoint every single one of you. Everyone brought such a unique perspective and equality, and I want to thank each and every one of you for doing this, for putting your name out there, for being vulnerable, being here, sharing your stories with us. And I encourage that no matter what happens at the end of this, I encourage each and every one of you to stay involved, to run if the position is up in November. if that's what you're interested in doing, but either way, to stay involved. We have a number of boards and commissions throughout the city that we need your voices on. Unfortunately, we really can only pick one person, and that gives the opportunity for 14 others of you to stay involved with the city and bring your voice to our table in the ways that you can. Again, thank you all so much for being here. Council members, we have to make a decision and start voting at some point. Any deliberations and discussions regarding any of the applicants needs to be done in open and public. Obviously, the voting will be done in open and in public. So this is no offline talking or deliberating with each other. Everything has to be in open. So what I'd like to do right now is take a quick 5-minute break, let council members get their own thoughts together, and then we will come back for deliberations and voting. Okay? We are back. The council is going to begin with the first round of voting. Each council member will have 4 votes to select which applicants move on to the next round. Cindy Lou, our trusted city recorder, has prepared an Excel spreadsheet for us to use. The spreadsheet will tally the votes and track council members' votes. Once we have placed our votes, the top vote getters will move on to the second round. Council members will continue to vote until either an applicant is selected by majority vote an applicant receives a unanimous vote of all 6 council members, or we elect to have a new round of Q&A with any remaining applicants. Council members, in order to do this, please text your vote to Jennifer and Lehua on our staff. They will update the Excel sheet, and then Cindy Lou will share the final tally on the screen so that everyone can see the results. Amanda, would you mind placing the list of all applicants' names in the chat? Council members, again, please text your votes now.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I think I cut out a little bit, but who are we texting our votes to?
Jen and Lehua.
Okay, okay, thanks.
4 votes.
Gotcha.
While we're voting and waiting, I just want to say, so me, Councilmember Wharton and Councilmember Rogers have now done this 3 times, and it does not get easier anytime. This is really hard.
Madam Chair, I would like to echo that. This is actually probably the hardest one for me because it is so impactful for the West Side. Me leaving, having 2 brand new council members on, that's why for me personally, this is probably the most important decision that I think that I'm going to make while I'm remaining on council. So I need to make sure that it's somebody that will be able to learn fast and I've worked with, and that we'll see that coming forward, that we have some goals that I want to finish by the end of my term, and I need some help in order to get that done. So
Thank you, Councilmember.
Okay, Madam Chair, I believe we've received everyone's votes. So I will ask Cindy Lou to share the screen and go over. That's the right thing, Cindy Lou.
So council members, I will just read off the count. Council Chair, if this is your part, just let me know. No? Okay. Alejandro Pui has 3 votes. Dennis Ferris has 6. Eric Turner has 1. Esther Jackson Stowell has 4. Kate Rubicava has 3. Melanie Baumgartner has 1. Mike Fife has 1. And Billy Palmer has 5.
Okay, thank you, Cindy Lou. I think at this time, as per what we discussed with the process, we will have a second round of votes with the top vote getters. I think that would be 3 and above.
That's great. Do you want equal to 3 and above, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Could you put that list back up, please?
Yes.
Amanda will post it in the chat as well.
Okay. So Council Chair, with 3 and above, the applicants are Alejandro Pui, Dennis Ferris, Esther Jackson Stowell, Kate Rubicava, and Billy Palmer.
Okay, council members, that is 5 of our top vote getters. Again, to everyone who applied and did not make it to the second round, I truly, truly want to thank you. I look forward to having more discussions with you. I look forward to hearing your voices in our city, with our city council as you continue to participate. And I want personally to say, if you need anything, if you want to know how to further get involved, please, please reach out to us, reach out to me, reach out to any of us city council members. I know that we would be happy to offer ideas of how and opportunities of how you can stay involved. And thank you again for applying and putting yourself out there. Council members, with that, the way that we have discussed what will happen now, each council member will have 2 votes. So again, 2 votes, and we will do the same thing and tally with the, sorry, lost my train of thought. We will text Jen and Lehua, and then Cindy Lou will put the spreadsheet back up when the votes are tallied.
Sorry, Madam Chair, you cut out. Is it 2 votes?
Yes, 2 votes to Jen and Lehua.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just want to make clarification for my point here on the Excel spreadsheet. With each council member providing 2 votes, what is the threshold for any candidates to move forward to the next round? Or do you just want to see the numbers first?
Don't know the answer to that.
Cindy Lou, this is Cindy. Usually they would just see the numbers. If there's for example, if there are top 2 and there's a big gap, then they would probably just go ahead with 2. So it pretty much usually just matters where the gap is. So if there's 4 people that have a similar number, they might choose to go around with 4.
Thank you. So we do have all the votes. Madam Chair, are you comfortable to go ahead and share? Thank you. So I will read the votes again. Alejandro Pui has 2. Dennis Ferris has 5 votes. Esther Jackson Stowell has 1. Kate Rubicava has 1. And Billy Palmer has 3.
At this point, I think that we take the top 2, and council members, you will have 1 vote.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Did applicants prepare 2 speeches or just 1 this time?
I believe they only prepared 1.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is a very hard decision for me, and I know that Councilmember Mano asked if there were any prepared speeches of the applicants, and apparently not. But if they could have 1 minute to tell us something, if that's possible, that would help me. But if it's not something that we ask them beforehand, I understand.
Would other council members feel a benefit to having the 2 finalists give another minute or minute and a half, 2 minutes of something to say? If I'm doing a straw poll, so if you think it would be helpful, put your thumb up.
But I get to take my vote back, right? Because I already texted Jennifer and Leo.
If for those of us that already voted, what does that mean?
I think that we could,
Reconsider.
yes, with the votes, if we're going to do this, if it would be helpful, and if Cindy Lou or Katie see it differently, or that something, then jump in and tell me.
Council Chair, I'll jump in and say, from my perspective, if the council members who've already voted just send Jen and Lehu a text and say, I rescind that, I would like to hear the 1-minute presentations, that from my perspective is appropriate.
Thank you, Katie, our city attorney, for those that don't know. And
Madam
Madam
Chair.
Yes, Mr. Rogers.
You know, for me, it would be a question. It wouldn't be let him hear again. It would be a question, and my question would be particular, you know, to one of the applicants.
We would have to ask the same question to both applicants.
I know, and that for me is, you know, and that's my question, is that, you know, it comes down to what they wrote in their applications, so, or what they didn't write. I think that was detrimental for one of the applicants, that he wasn't as, I don't want to say, he didn't put as much information in there as I felt like there should have been.
I'm processing what to do at this point and understand that. So if there is a suggestion, Cindy or Katie, that would maybe be helpful. I guess we can ask the one person a question and also give the other candidate an opportunity to reply. So essentially we asking both candidates the same question.
Madam Chair, I would also like to ask a question, but I don't know if it's the same question that Councilmember Rogers has. So I don't know how we do that, and so it might be the same question, but it might not be. And then, so I don't know what to. That's my concern, I guess. I guess maybe some advice from Katie, like, if I know we can't, like, I don't know how to do this.
I don't know that
Sorry, Katie.
any of us do. So Katie or Cindy Lou?
I just wanted to mention in the instructions provided by council staff, there was a statement where a Q&A option may be provided. It's at the discretion of the chair. So, and then I'll turn it over to Katie. But there was that notice in the email.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I believe last year when I was appointed, the same thing happened, and there was a question that we were all unprepared for. And if I remember, the question was, what makes you better than the other applicant? Which I hated that question.
You were mean.
So I prefer not, but I do think there's precedent for a question that wasn't prepared to be asked. So I think it's appropriate to ask a question. I don't have a strong opinion what that question is. And I'm not suggesting the same question as last year, but to me, it seems fair that there would be a question asked.
Okay, Katie, do you have any advice?
I think that it's probably important to be consistent and ask both candidates the same questions, although you certainly could, if you prefer, to open it up for a Q&A, but probably better just to stick with one or two of the same for both. You certainly could ask something along the lines of, tell us something that you wish you had included in your written presentation, or tell us something else about yourself. Maybe do you have any questions about the city council position that we can answer for you? Sometimes that's a good interview strategy. So, but I would be consistent between both and pick one, maybe two questions, and then invite them back.
Okay, so here is what I think that we can do. I think that we can have James ask the question to the candidate that he has the question. Then we would provide the same question to the other candidate and allow that other candidate to, or applicant, to respond. If it's not the same question as Chris's, then we would give Chris the opportunity to ask his question to both applicants, and then I would hope that we don't all have a question, that would be sufficient at those 2 questions. So what I'd like to do is, Amanda, if you would invite both Dennis and Billy into as participants so that we can see them and hear them, then we will start. And Billy and Dennis, if you'll put your videos on, please.
Madam Chair, may I
Yes.
just suggest that you alternate with the candidate that answers first?
Yes.
'Cause there's a distinct advantage in being the second.
Sure. Billy and Dennis, I'm sure that you've heard all of this discussion while you were in the attendee lounge. I don't know what that looks like, but so we have decided that there are a couple of questions, as you 2 are our final applicants. James will go first. He will ask his question to one candidate. The other candidate will then have the opportunity to reply. And then Chris has a question. We'll switch the order of who he asks first. I would ask that you answer the question. I don't think there's a time frame. If I feel like you're going too far, I'm not afraid to cut you off. So we'll go too long. So we'll start there. James, I'll turn that time over to you at this time.
Well, this is difficult because my question is kind of, it's a broad question, Billy. In regards to your application, I felt like your answers to the questions were very brief, and that was very, in my opinion, in my voting, was detrimental for me not to vote for you. So my question is, in regards to your application, what did you not put on there that you wish that you would have?
Oh, okay. There is an awful lot, actually.
I know I know you, Billy, and that's why I felt like there should have been so much more substance in your application. Diving into the issues and giving it.
I'll give you the honest truth here. I have a full brain of issues. I've been a public affairs journalist for 5 years, and I've learned really to be concise and deliberate, as well as ask a lot of questions. And with a lot of the issues ahead of us and in our questionnaire, I really have a hard time answering without having discussion about each one of the issues. I know I wish I had put more of my opinions in there for sure. And I think maybe because a little bit of my training in journalism, to be concise, to be non-biased, and all of those things that went into my answers. And I thought being deliberate about the whole of how I think about these things would allow for you to understand that there's not just one or 2 basic answers in some of these difficult challenges, especially with the inland port. The inland port, I felt it was important to say that it's a constantly changing thing. It's going to grow. Our decision making is going to have to be nimble. And I wanted to make sure that y'all understood that I understand that we have to, as a council, really come together, really deliberate, really figure out exactly what we need to do as a council, because a lot of it is not in our hands. It's in the hands of the state, the Port Authority, and all of that. And so we need to be concise and unified with the mayor's office in order to serve the people the best that we can and get the best that we can out of that. What I maybe wish I had done is to expound possibly on a lot of what I think about the inland port. And I'm not sure how, in this very moment, how I might type all of that out, but I didn't think that's what you wanted to hear. and my apologies for being so brief. You know me, and I have covered every single issue that you deal with for the past 5 years, and I wish I hadn't been so brief, because I didn't realize that would cause you pause to vote for me. So I did not. I want to leave it this. Tell you this. I did not assume that you know me, and so you would know. I tried to make sure that my answers were ones that could be digested as thinking about it in the wholeness of it, because all of the decisions that need to be made in it, I still feel like I need to be in the council in order to really deliberately say, I think this and this and this and this, because there's a lot I still will learn, and I can learn quickly. Absolutely, I can learn quickly. You know, I think you know that as especially with the past 5 years, I've learned to ask the best questions and not necessarily, and then have a good answer. And so for me, this has been a hard process because I need to ask questions. I have lots and lots of questions.
Thank you, Billy. I appreciate that. Dennis, I would say that the substance of James's question is that what would you have either said today or put in your application that you didn't get a chance to, or that maybe you wish you had?
Yeah. What is I guess if I had to answer that question. Okay. Sorry.
This is Dennis. You're good. Thank you, Billy.
Sorry.
Yep.
Alrighty. Much like Billy expressed, I'm definitely far more conversational and deliberative. So would love to be able to have a discussion about something specific. As far as my application, honestly, I think I put a lot of effort into it and did a pretty good job of answering the questions briefly and succinctly to keep it to the point, but still get my point across. Honestly, I think that my record and all of my written responses stand for themselves. I think each one of you have the information in front of you to make the decision that you need to make. I honestly can't think of anything I could specifically add to it that might change anyone's mind. There's always far more detail on each individual issue, but without a more specific question, and I don't have much more to offer, frankly.
That's just fine. That's just fine, Dennis. Thank you. Chris, did you have your question? And if you could, we'll address your question to Dennis first and then to Billy. It looks, however, that we might have lost Billy. He has the alert symbol in the corner of his tile. So I want to make sure that we make sure he's here before we go on. So give it a second to see if he refreshes.
Can you hear me? I'm here. Can you not see me?
Nope, we can't see you, but as long as you can hear and you're there, Billy. Chris, then I will turn the time over for you to ask your question to Dennis first.
It actually, I think it is substantively the same as James's. I would have just said, you know, I'll just leave it at that. So since it's substantively the same, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Billy and Dennis. Council members.
Amy, can I tell you one more thing? I think I left out. It's been a difficult process for me through this, because as I've gone through this, yeah, I'm sorry, but
I appreciate it, but I think at this point,
Amy, my uncle passed away, and I traveled to Alabama during this process, and I think that is part of the answer that I probably should have added too. It's been a really difficult grieving process through this as well.
Thank you. Okay. I am going to ask Amanda to take Billy and Dennis back into the attendee lounge. Council members, are you at this point prepared to make your votes? Thumbs up if you are.
Madam Chair, can we have just like 3 minutes to just like think silently for a minute? Okay.
We can, let's take a little 5-minute break.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So long in the face, and I understand how difficult this decision is. Madam Mayor, thank you for joining us. We're just waiting for Anna before we continue. Hi, Anna. Thank you, council members. Are we ready at this point to send Jen and Lehua your votes? No, nobody's ready. Do you need more time? Okay, I am making an executive decision. I'd like for everyone at this point, we've gone through the process as difficult as it has been, but with amazing, wonderful candidates. But at some point we have to make the decision, and that time has come. So I would ask council members to please send Jen and Lehua your vote.
Madam Chair, I do believe we have a vote from all 6 council members. I do not have the permissions just yet to share. So Amanda, if you want to pass that along.
Cindy Lou, before you share, oh, nope, share it away. I just want to, I wanted to just thank each of the council members. I know that you have all been incredibly diligent at talking with applicants, reading through their application papers, really delving into the answers of the questionnaire, and being incredibly attentive today during their interviews. Again, this is our 3rd time for several of us doing this. It does never get easier. And I really just want to thank you for being the people that you are and putting the time and effort into this very important decision before us today, and taking time out of a Thursday to do this. And so thank you all for your passion to the city and for what you do as members of the city council. And now I think we're ready, Cindy Lou.
So Council Chair, Madam Chair, we have 5 votes for Dennis Ferris and 1 vote for Billy Palmer.
Thank you. If we could potentially, if Billy is still in the attendee lounge, if we could have Billy and Dennis back in here. First off, I want to thank you so much, Billy, for your application, for being here, and that please stay involved, as I know that you will. And I truly appreciate you and what you do for our community. And thank you very much for being here and for putting your name in the ring. Dennis, congratulations. You are the next city council member for District 2. I think we have some formalities that we have to go through. And so I'll turn to my script, I think. At this point, yes, we do have the formal step now of approving a resolution to make this official, and our city recorder will also perform the oath of office. We will all stay here in the WebEx, and okay, sorry. Whew, lots of things in my brain I'm still processing. So Dennis, again, congratulations on being the next D2 city council member. We look forward to working with you. At this point, we are going to adjourn from our work session and enter into our special limited formal meeting. Katie Lewis, is there anything I need to do besides say that?
As long as there's not a different link, you can transition into the formal meeting through this same platform.
Excellent. So everyone, welcome to our special limited formal meeting. The only item is the resolution under new business. This resolution is appointing Dennis Ferris as a member of the Salt Lake City Council District 2. You are appointed to fill the term until this coming January 3rd, 2022. It's so very awkward doing this on WebEx. It's awkward enough when we suddenly vote somebody into it and then put them in the council chair sitting up on the dais, but even more awkward as we're all sitting at our own homes doing this. But it is what it is, and here we are. At this time, I will look for a motion adopting a resolution appointing a new member of Salt Lake City Council to fill the term until January 3rd, 2022 of the vacated office representing District 2 and administration of the oath of office.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second. I have a motion by Councilmember Rogers, a second by Councilmember Dugan. I will go ahead. Is there any discussion about this motion?
Congratulations, Dennis.
Congratulations, Dennis.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Dennis.
Okay.
Congratulations.
With that, I'm going to go ahead and roll call. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros.
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton.
Yes.
Councilmember Mano.
Yes.
And I am a yes, and that is approved unanimously. At this point, I will turn the time over to Cindy Liu to perform the oath of office with Dennis.
Thanks, Dennis. I don't know if you've done this before, so I'm just going to give you a little rundown of how it's going to work. We are going to conduct the oath of office electronically. The filing of the oath of office will be taken care of through an electronic signature software, after which it will be filed in the city recorder's office. As you do have your microphone and camera on, thank you. Just be unmuted, please. I will read the oath of office with designated pauses. At those pauses, you'll go ahead and repeat back to me. So before I read the oath, if you could please state your name for the record.
Dennis Ferris.
Thank you. I do, oh, and you may raise your hand if you'd like. I do solemnly affirm
I do solemnly affirm
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of my office with fidelity.
the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you all very much so.
I'm turning on my camera so you can, my unmute so you can hear me laugh.
Oh yeah, me too. Congratulations, Dennis. I'm very excited. Madam Chair, sorry, may I have a few words?
Of course.
I'm so super excited. This was the hardest of my 2 times appointing somebody. Everybody was well qualified, super involved. So to narrow it down, it's my stomach hurt. Like it was so hard because we know how hard all of the applicants have worked for the West Side. We know you guys all have so many talents and things that we lack that we don't have in the right now in our council. So excited we were able to narrow it down to Dennis. I work with Dennis, and I work with Billy, and I work with Ale, and I work with Kate. I work with a lot of you. So I'm happy that you're with us. Roll up the sleeve. I know it's already rolled because you do this anyway. And let's get stuff done, okay?
Thank you, Anna. I see that Andrew Johnston is here. I don't know if, Andrew, you'd like to say any words, but I'm happy to give you a few minutes if you'd like.
Hey, can you please call him James one last time?
I never got it wrong. Chris can call him James.
Whoa. I think all of us have at one point or another made that mistake, okay? I might not be able to prove it just because mine were more official because I did it in the meeting on accident.
Don't worry, Chris, I've done it too. I didn't plan on saying anything, but Dennis, well, I don't know. I mean, when Dennis told his story earlier about showing up to his first community council meeting, what he didn't say was I became the chair that night for the first time and he was vice chair. So we took our lumps together over those first couple of years, and I learned a lot from him, and I was surprised when you put your name in, but you're ultimately qualified. You know the neighborhood, you know the people, you know the issues. I've been proud to work with you at VOA for a short amount of time. Your passion and heart, really impressive. So I just congratulations to you. Congratulations to the council. I know these are hard decisions, and also for everybody else who applied. I haven't reached out to everybody, but it really gave me a lot of hope and pride in the West Side and District 2 in our neighborhoods for such qualified folks to show up and show out. Somebody texted me a little earlier and asked me about it, and my first response was, I'm not sure how I ever got elected to represent y'all. It seemed like so many more qualified folks than me, so just so proud of y'all, and Dennis, you particularly, and whatever you need, I'll pledge to offer you as you go forward in this job. So thanks.
Thank you, Andrew. And don't go far. I have something in a minute. Madam Mayor, would you, I appreciate you for joining us. And I know I'm totally off script right now, but who cares? Would you like to say a few words, Madam Mayor?
Congratulations, Dennis. And I think I've been a part of trying to recruit you to be on the city council in years past. So here you are. You need to kick Andrew out of your new cubicle where Andrew's currently sitting in the council offices still. And I think that the experience that you bring to city conversations is so broad and deeply rooted in community organizing and public service for years and years. It runs in your family. So welcome, and so happy for you. Welcome your entire family to City Hall. And thanks, Madam Chair, for giving me a moment. I just want to say that I want to steal the whole list of applicants and get these incredible D2 constituents onto boards and commissions as soon as possible. So maybe I'll put that link in the chat for anybody who's still an attendee. Please join us in other ways.
Amen, Madam Mayor. And I did encourage everyone to stay involved as much as possible with the boards and commissions. And feel free to move to D7. We have open seats over here too. But I just want to say, unless other council members have anything to say before I wrap it up, I want to say first off, Andrew, you're too humble. First off, in suggesting that you don't know how you ever got elected. Many of the applicants in their application packets mentioned you specifically of what you have done for D2 and the reasons that as one of the reasons that they were interested in running for city council or being an applicant for this seat. And so I think that having the people and the caliber of people that applied actually is a testament to the good work that you did and the work that they want to continue doing. So I truly thank you and wanted you to know that I was impressed by how many people mentioned you in their different applications and questions. And Dennis, welcome. We are in the midst of budget season, so I am sure we will have somebody deliver a budget book to you immediately. And long nights, but we are very much looking forward to it. Welcome to City Council, and I certainly can't wait till we are all in person and can do this all together. But thank you so much. We look forward to working with you. And with that, everyone, our council meeting is adjourned.
Just
Please
for a moment.
join us on May 18th
I guess not.
for our next
Madam
council
Chair?
meeting. Yes.
I think Dennis wants to say a couple words.
Oh, no, I'm sorry that you can't, Dennis. I guess I should have let you do that. Go ahead, Dennis, please.
That's all right. First of all, just want to definitely thank Andrew. Someone actually asked me the question yesterday, what would you do differently than Andrew Johnston? And my very rapid response was nothing. Andrew did a phenomenal job. He showed up every day, did the work, was always willing to roll up his sleeves and get the work done, to show up in the meetings, to communicate with people and earn each and every one of his votes one at a time. So thank you very much. And I'm also going to take him up on his offer to help me with this. So I hope that we'll be meeting together this weekend over budget books, and see how we can dig into it. So, and lastly, the first thing I would like to do as a council person, I'm going to assume I can do this. I don't know, but if I can ask the staff to put together a list of contact information for the 16 other candidates, because I would like to specifically reach out to them and speak with them about how they can help further the work in District 2 and in each of the communities. So thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Dennis. And please feel free, we will get our phone numbers to you. Feel free to ask questions to all of us over the weekend as well. Happy to help, always answer questions. We're here for you. And with that, we will go ahead and conclude this council meeting. Please join us May 18th for our next council meeting, the first with our new council member. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday.
Thank you.
In depth of issues that come up all the time. If you just look at the council agendas, it is difficult to spend that much time in any one area. And so I've been personally involved on a professional level from home